everyone, welcome to Marion's World. I'm about to show you the next few pages of my stitch book. I'm still out in the garden. It's a lovely sunny day. You might hear the birds in the background, but that's a small price to pay for being outside in my garden on a lovely sunny day. I hope you like the next few pages, and yeah. Here are the next few pages of my stitch book. So I'm going to start here. So, because I've done the wildflowers, it had me thinking of all sorts, and I just really fancied doing a tree. So I actually did, this one was the next one. And because I'd been thinking about snowdrops, I was thinking about the bluebells, decided I'd try and do bluebell wood. So this is actually a bit of cotton, old cotton worn out pillowcase. And I watered down some acrylic paint and brushed it on for the sky, and then cut out the tree trunks from just scraps of fabric and proceeded to just stitch them on and do bits of detached chain for the leaves. It's actually a bit of fabric paint to paint the fine branches, and then I do have silk ribbons, and I've not really used them for much. It's just something I've had for a long time. You get into things, then you don't get away with it, but you just keep the things. And so I thought I'll try a bit of silk ribbon embroidery. Actually, it was just all straight stitched, green and blue and the different colours. And I just started at the background and thought, as I get nearer and nearer, I'll try and do better bluebells. And so they came out all right. The blue wasn't quite the right colour, so I did touch them with a bit of paint to colour them down again. And you can see here that lovely green fraying fabric again. I've used that in all sorts of places because it just was properly grass. And so that was my bluebell page. And because I'd enjoyed doing the tree and I was thinking of trees, this was the next one. So this is actually a representation of Sycamore Gap, which is on Hadrian's Wall, and Hadrian's Wall is not very far from me, where I am in the northeast of England. And so, oh my goodness, wait a minute, you can tell that I'm not used to these things, and I am trying to do it in the garden. Okay, Sycamore Gap. I found a photograph online of Sycamore Gap. I've got the same pillowcase material underneath with a bit of organza to make the sky this time. I layered up all sorts of things to make the wall and the ground. So there's bits of wool off an old skirt, bits from the fabric swatch book. This is from a pair of culottes I'd made. There's the green fraying fabric again. And then for the sycamore itself, I just chain stitched the trunk, and actually a bit of whipped chain stitch, and then just kept referring to the photograph and straight stitch, stem stitch, chain, whatever I fancied, until I had the sycamore done. And I really liked that when I did it. In fact, I do like it. It's a really satisfying one to look at, I think. On to the next one. So these two, slightly less designed. This particular one, I just had in mind a mossy sort of a wall, really. So I was trying to do the rocks and cracks, ferns coming out, little ferns and leaves, the grass on top of a wall, just made out of cheesecloth, French knots for the moss, and just bits of appliqued things on. Just all sorts, bits of wool off, bits of fleece. That's actually an old tea towel that got cut up. I think it was a tea towel that got used as a paint cloth that got used for applique. And so it's nice, but it's okay. It's sort of not quite what I was expecting, but it's part of my book and it's fine. this one had a bit of a history. Lots of people were doing quite abstract things, and I decided I had to do that too. And so I just started putting things on this blue linen background, which was off a dress. In fact, it's the dress I'm wearing. Look, there's the blue linen. And I was adding all sorts. I was adding bits of lace, French knots, there's beads, there's cheesecloth, ribbons, you name it, I added it. And at the end, I just didn't like it. It was just so over the top. And I finished it. It was a page. But the longer I stitched other pages, the less I liked the one that this was. And I started looking at it and I thought, well, why don't you just cut it up and start again? And I thought, I can't waste all that work and waste all that material that I've used and the beads, because I try not to waste things at all. But as soon as I thought about cutting it up, I just took my scissors and I cut it into strips and cubes and started to rearranging them on this, which was a bit of really old vintage flannel. And as soon as they sort of got arranged, I liked it a whole lot better, because it just made me think they looked like little jewels or like a parterre with all the flower beds. And so I just running stitched them on, and the disaster turned into something pretty. And there was a little bit of a gap, and so the bit of blue linen and an old laundry button went on the front. So disaster turned into prettiness in the end. Yep. So the last two I'm going to talk about today are these two. This is the next one. Obviously I'd done the trees, and I just had the thought that I'd do a bit of a woodland, and it was really inspired by this material, which is my bedroom curtains, because I just had to redo my bedroom curtains. And this curtain material is really pretty. It's got a beigey background, it's got ferns on and bits of alliums and things. It looked really nice, and I'd been quite good in buying the material, because at the end, when I'd made all my curtains and my pelmet, all I had left over was a strip about another 2 or 3 inches wider than that across the whole width of the fabric. That's all I had left, and it just looked to me like it needed to be in my book. So because of the ferns, I decided to do woodland, and so I put cheesecloth down, a bit of organza for the sky. Then these were just pieces of wool that I wrapped with embroidery thread and embroidery wool to make the trunks. And then I cut the window out from the curtain fabric and hemmed it all the way round to make a lovely window. And then did the same thing with this. It's wool and macrame cotton wrapped with more wool. A bit of wool roving to make the moss and the roots. Detached chain and straight stitch for the leaves. And I think it came out really nicely. I could have put more things on, but sometimes less is more, and it just looked nice as it was. But I had wanted to put foxgloves on it, because I love foxgloves, because I didn't want to put anything more on there. I did the foxglove page. It's one of my absolute favourite flowers. In fact, I can just show you. There's a one here. Anyway, curtain fabric again. Brown wool for the ground. And then the leaves I've just cut out of some curtain velvet fabric, some wool off a cardigan. There's some wool out of the fabric swatch book. And then stem stitch for stems, detached chain for ferns, and then the foxglove flowers themselves are from the same ribbons. And so I didn't really have the proper colour for foxgloves. I had this really pale pink, which wasn't foxglove coloured at all. But I stitched them and I put them on and turned them back and was really pleased with the shape. And then right at the end, once that was all finished, I took some fabric paint and watered it down and just touched the flowers with the more like a foxglove flower colour. And so that's how they ended up looking so pretty. But it was done after they were stitched and not before. But the combination of the lovely colours and the ribbon has made a really nice foxglove flower. And I finished it off with some little starry stitchwork flowers, because that's another really nice wildflower. So they make a nice couple together, those flowers. And I'm going to finish there for now, and I'll come back to do the next few pages in the next video. I hope you've liked it. I hope I've got a good enough video, and just leave me a comment if you think it's nice or you like what I'm doing. Because I'm just new at this, I just appreciate everybody's comments, because it's encouraging me onwards. And thanks a lot, everybody, and bye bye for now. Oh, bye bye for now.